Bill O'Brien is really going to have to show how he can recruit if he wants to land these local targets.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider. I want to welcome you all. This is a daily Boston College podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head over to 5 Hour Energy to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local or grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. I told you guys I'm going to start off with some good old recruiting news. And I'm going to live up to that promise. We're also going to talk hockey as they get ready for Bentley, and Dion Brown is in the transfer portal. But let's kick it off with the recruiting news, because that's what you're here for. Now, there's still two major local recruits that Boston College is going after: Marky Walbridge and Carter Gooden. Marky Walbridge is an offensive lineman from St. Sebastian's, a high 3-star recruit. Not a lot we know about where he's at right now because he's a quiet kid, but a very talented one who has lots of offers, including Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. He's got them all. Everything I've heard, BC's in good shape with him, though. So, calling me surprised when I went on 247 site I work, the network I work for, and I saw that there's a crystal ball for him to land at Michigan. Now, I would not disagree that Michigan is probably a good chance he's going to get him, but I have not heard that it's that close yet. I think they're going to, from what I have seen and heard, I've heard that Walbridge is going to take his official visits before he makes his decision. Now, anything can change. That's the thing about recruiting. I can tell you one thing: a player or a recruit changes his mind, or a team puts pressure to get a kid to commit. All of a sudden, things change. That being said, Bill O'Brien, to land Marky Walbridge, is going to have to do the best recruiting job of anyone that he's landed so far. He's landed some good commitments so far. Whether it's Shaker Reisig, who's on the team right now, or even Mason Leak, who is a 4-star that they have committed for next year. But Marky's a different animal, because you look at his offer list, and this is a kid that can go anywhere he wants. So why would he choose BC? That's a good question. Now, I think that you're going to have to push playing home, playing at a school with good offensive lineman history. You have the academics, but so does Michigan. You're going to have to really push for that local piece, and it's not impossible. I don't think, that Bill O'Brien has an impossible case, because of also the history of BC with offensive linemen, also big. I know Michigan has it too, but the bigger one, this is the piece I think that Bill O'Brien really needs to hammer. And the big difference between him and Sharon Moore and many of these other coaches: his staff's experience in the NFL. Bill O'Brien just said the other day, over 100 years of an NFL experience on his staff right now. That should be a selling point. Sharon Moore is a nice young coach. He does not have that experience. James Franklin does not have that experience. Kalen DeBoer down in Alabama does not have that experience. BC does. If he wants to get to the league, they have a leg up on those schools. And when you're battling bigger schools, you have to find the piece that sets you apart from them. I think that's where they need to go. I still believe that Marky Walbridge is taking an official visit. No matter how many big offers he has, I think he'll end up at BC at least for an official visit. But Bill O'Brien is going to have to work extraordinarily hard to get him to come here. The other name that is getting more offers is Carter Gooden. Now, Carter Gooden is an edge rusher from Tabor Academy. He placed his official visit decision with BC early. But since then, He's named a whole bunch. And the part that I hate about this, because he is a high 3-star, almost 4-star recruit. He's 4-star in composite now. Is that BC is last. I hate that. That all these other schools that BC is recruiting against, they are all going to get top crack at him. And if you followed official visit seasons in years past, a lot of times these recruits do not make it to the end before they commit. So he has before that. He starts off with Rutgers, then he goes to Michigan State, then it's Penn State, and then it's Syracuse. He's got family in Canada. So Big Ten country is what worries me. But this is a recruit that's been on campus a whole bunch. Jonathan DiBiaso is his main recruiter. Matt Applebaum is the main recruiter for Marky Walbridge, by the way. But DiBiaso is the head recruiter for Gooden, and I like that because I think DiBiaso has shown that he is an ace. This is the new ace of your recruiters on your staff. So Gooden, the fact that he has all these other offers, these other visits, the piece that worries me is that BC's last. So what Bill O'Brien is going to have to do here, and the staff is going to have to do, is work your tail off to keep him from, to make sure that he gets to BC, because you have such a great relationship with him that if you can be that last visit, then that's a good sign for Boston College. Then you are in the driver's seat, but you have to get there. I remember there was, what was his name? Chris Vigna last year. He was an offensive lineman from New Jersey. If you had told me in the spring, like, name a recruit that Bill O'Brien could land early, Vigna was one on top of my list. I just thought BC was in good shape with him. He seemed to really like Boston College. He'd been on an unofficial. But Rutgers got him first, and he never made it to BC. Rutgers, he fell in love. They sold him because he's a New Jersey kid on playing in New Jersey. Now, BC, they need to continue to hammer that with Carter Gooden. Because I'm telling you, I would kill to have a defensive edge pairing of Carter Gooden and Mason Leak, and to see if any of these other kids they got coming. I mean, I just put up that they have Tyson Harley on campus today. He's a 4-star from Gonzaga College in Washington, D.C. This staff is building the trenches. And as I've said on the show multiple times, that is how you win. And right now, they are killing it in the offensive and defensive line. They're going to continue to try to build on it, because what they could be doing right now is really setting themselves up for success. But I really want to see them get Carter Gooden in here. And to do that, you're going to have to beat out those other schools. If you were to ask me right now, AJ, of these two, who's most likely to commit? It's going to be Carter Gooden. That's my guess. I think Marky Walbridge is a real tough one. I'm not sure if he's impossible, but if I was a betting man, I would go for Carter Gooden. Now, I work for 247, so I could place crystal balls. I'm not placing a crystal ball on either of these guys. If it was Merrick Jin or potentially Femi Babalola, the quarterback from Ravenwood, those are two guys that if, maybe in the future I will be placing crystal balls because I feel better about them. But Carter Gooden and Marky Walbridge, those are tougher ones. Now, in our second segment, let's get to basketball. The Eagles lose another player. I'll explain why. Again, I'm fine with this as long as something else happens. And I'll explain what needs to happen when we get to this next segment. We're all about stats because numbers don't lie. And when it comes to the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X, the numbers are on an MVP level. With the ability to tow up to 8,500 pounds, it can quite literally carry the whole team, plus the gear wherever you need to go. It's powered by a twin-turbo V6 engine, delivering the strength and performance to handle highways, back roads, and everything in between. And with room for up to 8 people, the Armada Pro 4X is built for big crews, big adventures, and even bigger memories. Whether you're exploring off-road trails or rolling up to the arena, the Armada Pro 4X brings power, versatility, and style wherever you go. Take your adventure to new heights in the all-new Nissan Armada Pro 4X. Learn more at Nissan USA today. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can win $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything, from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the net. For me, I've been looking at some of these SEC schools because I really bombed my pool earlier, and since then, Alabama they smoked BYU tonight. In Florida, they took care of Maryland. I love it. So with FanDuel, you can stay with the action. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. So visit FanDuel.com right now and get on the college hoops action all tournament long. Locked on Boston College, I'm your host, AJ Black. I want to shout out all my everydayers out there. If you listen to Locked On BC every day, if we're part of your daily routine, whether it's doing the laundry, going for a walk, listening at work, I want to thank you. You are what keeps this program going. And more of you that become that, the bigger our show becomes. So thank you all. And when you're done with this episode, check out Locked On ACC with Alex Dono and Kenton Gibbs. It's out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, basketball, the sad state of BC basketball. On Thursday, BC lost their third player in the transfer portal, as this one was a bit of a surprise for me. Dion Brown, a first-year transfer out of UMBC, entered the portal. Now, on one hand, it surprised me because I figured this was a player that maybe they would try to keep as a chip for next year. I don't know what his NIL deal, maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe he just didn't fit. There's a million reasons why he could have been gone. He's gone. But he came here with high expectations. Yes, he came from a mid-major program, but he was averaging 19 points per game for the UMBC Golden Retrievers, I forget what they call them, the year before. He was a Massachusetts kid from Great Barrington. He played around here in high school. I thought he was going to be a good fit. He had quite the slow start for BC. You look up his numbers, those first 10 games, and he was completely invisible. And it just seemed like playing at the ACC level was just not going to work for him. Now, credit to Dion. Near the end, he started to play much better. He had 20 points in the game against UNC in double overtime. He ended the season with 3 straight 10-point games. But the part that struck me when I looked at the difference between his games in UMBC and playing for Boston College was the amount of shots he took. He took almost 480 shots last year, and I think he took 230 this year. It's almost cut in half. He was a volume scorer when he played for UMBC. He gets to BC, and his role is there, but he's not shooting the way. And I don't know if that's an Earl Grant thing or the defenses were tougher. It just never felt like he was much of a threat. Donald Hand, he had the threat, in games where he just took things over. Brown was supposed to be that other guy, just never felt that way. So I honestly think, just like Elijah Strong, that I think those two specifically, dropping down to a mid-major, they could both be very good. I mean, we already saw with Dion Brown that he can, at a mid-major, would be fine. I think Elijah Strong's kind of that way too. So I could see, Dion at I don't know, around here, but maybe like a UMass, a URI, those types of schools, maybe a Northeastern, and he would be fine. And he'd probably be really good. So I just think the ACC was just not the right fit for him. And for BC, I get optimistic when a player enters the portal because other than, as I've said, Donald Hand, Jaden Hastings, and Fred Payne, I am fine with every other player on this roster if they enter the portal. If they come back, it's fine. But the more that enter the portal, the better, because this team needs to reload for next year. If I'm Earl Grant, and I'm not, believe me, I'm not Earl Grant, you have to go into next year with this mind frame. You need to flip from last year because you can't, some of these guys that you can't develop. Like Josh Beadle, you could not develop him anymore. He's older. He was what he was. So you moved on. Smart move. You now have more scholarships to go and try to hit the reset button. Because in basketball, what we saw with Louisville is that a reset can happen faster than you imagine. Now, believe me, do not go in the comment section and say, AJ, we're not going to be Louisville. That's not my point. I'm saying you can flip. If you get the right guys here, you can win more games. That's all I'm saying. And whether it's tournament level or not, I don't know. It's BC, so probably not. But you could probably win more games. So you need to get more guys in here, guys that can contribute. And the guys that you just let go of, I don't know their whole situation. I don't know how much they were making at NIL. But I can tell you, I'm fine if they can bring the right guys in. What scares me is Earl Grant bringing in the wrong guys, because if you look at last year's transfer portal class now, there were 4 guys they brought in. 2 were graduated, 1 was pretty good, and then 2 are transferred out. So that whole group is gone. I am worried. Like, if you were to rank all those guys, like, they really didn't do all that great. Chad Venning was your best player, and he was just a solid hand. He wasn't spectacular. He was solid. I'm worried that they're going to fail there. But the bigger piece that I'm worried about with Earl Grant is he's going to take these open spots and do things like he's done in years past, which is go and recruit underdeveloped freshmen that are, diamonds in the rough. That is a complete waste of time right now, because if I'm Earl Grant, and again, I am not, I have to view my future in a 1-year lens, because you do not have time to wait 2 to 3 years for another Connie Tachanda, or even like Devin McLaughlin. Like, he took 2 to 3 years. You had guys like Jaden Zachary who took a little bit of time, him less, but the other 2, you know what I mean? Jaden Hastings. Like, you need to get guys that can play now. I do not think it's a wise move to get guys that you're just going to stash on your bench. You need players. You need players that can win games. So if I'm Earl Grant, you see all the tweets out there, BC has contacted all these guys. They better be contacting, because you have enough scholarships, and I believe they're going to have extra because the rosters increase, to go out there and get players that can score and win you games. Get you ACC level players and scout. He's not the thing with Grant. He's been inconsistent in his evaluation, because you can crap on him for missing on Dion Brown or Josh Beadle, and believe me, it's okay to do that. But he also took Quentin Post, who, when he was with Mississippi State, was averaging like 1.7 points per game or something crazy like that, and made him into what he is now. He took Devin McLaughlin, a guy that was completely irrelevant and not recruited at all in basketball, and look at where he's at now. I mean, he's not on the team, but you hear what I'm saying. He's been able to recruit some guys that have done it. He needs to be more consistent. And so I look at their assistant, right? Steve Smith. He's here new. I wonder if there's going to be some recruits that were at Florida State, like Taylor Bowen. Taylor Bowen. He's a guy that played for Steve Smith. There's other guys that were recruited by Steve Smith. Maybe they start to hit those pipelines. Florida State's been there. I mean, they haven't been great, but if you can pick off a few guys that have been good, Taylor Bowen's been fine. He's better than, Elijah Strong, especially defensively. You got to be able to go out there and get those guys. So there's a lot of pressure here for Earl Grant. He cannot screw this up. You now have 3 more scholarship spots that you can go out there and fix your team. And for NIL, you better pray that they have the money to do this. And I don't know how this goes with revenue sharing too. All that's going to be one package, and hopefully BC can offer things that are competitive. I'm not asking them to be Louisville, who's what Pat Kelsey was saying, like they're going to spend like $8 to $9 million. BC's never going to be that. But they should be able to be competitive and offer good money, because I believe, I really do believe that last year, like a Dion Brown probably cost them to do that. And they've been able to keep guys for good money. Quentin Post, I know. He said it, that he was being offered and he stayed at BC. So that's going to be tough. Now, in our final segment, let's get ready for some hockey. I'm excited. The march to the Frozen Four is coming up. And can Greg Brown get there? Well, one of the biggest challengers is out, but BC still has a lot of work in front of them. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-hour energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-hour energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I love 5-hour energy. It helps me when I'm a runner. I've been running before, and when I was doing some long distance running, I loved using 5-hour energy. It helped giving me the energy I needed to make through some of my workouts. So head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12 or 24 pack delivered right to your door. Need one right now? Grab a 5-hour energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Yeah, if you've not checked out the bracket breakdown on Amazon Fire, you need to do that right now, especially with what happened with Mark Sears in Alabama last night. Go check out the work that they're doing with Gordon Hayward has been on, and they've got some of the local experts. It's awesome. Go check out the bracket breakdown on Amazon Fire. Now, let's wrap things up by talking about college hockey. Now, the end of the doldrums of college basketball for BC fans is over because this is when things get fun. BC hockey is the number 1 seed, as we said before. They're ready to play Bentley in the first round today on Friday at 2 p.m. in Manchester, New Hampshire. BC, credit to them. They're sending a bus full of students up there, which is great. In the midst of classes and all that, they're going to be getting up there. But this is going to be a tough game for BC. This game worries me, and I'll tell you why. You got a scrappy, hungry team that believes in themselves like Bentley is. Like they have done what you did not expect them to do. This is their first tournament. They beat Holy Cross, who was heavily favored to win their conference tournament championship. And you best believe that they have BC circled, and they're gunning for the Eagles. So if BC comes out there, they come out there sloppy or slow, be worried. If Bentley can take BC's skating out of this and muck things up and try to force some errors, this is also worrisome for BC. But I have faith. Ryan Leonard is better than anyone on Bentley, and so is Jacob Fowler. When you have top-end talent like that, as long as they're playing at the level that they can play, you win games. So this is going to be a really tricky one. Looking ahead, and I hate doing this, BU won. So your march to possibly having a rematch with the Terriers is still on. Most interestingly is Cornell beat Michigan State. Michigan State was the number 1 seed overall. Number 2 seed overall, excuse me, right behind BC. So you look at a lot of mock drafts, mock brackets, and who do they have winning? Michigan State. So one of your biggest competitors is out. But honestly, that doesn't matter. Any team that you play is going to be good. You play one good goalie. You win this game, you're going to play the winner of Providence and Denver. Ugh, Denver again. You got to play best, your best hockey. BC has been playing very well. They did not play very well in the Hockey East Championship, semifinals, excuse me. They got to play better, and hopefully they will get their win. We'll be on again on Monday to talk about that game. We'll talk about practice scrimmage on Saturday, recruiting news. If anything pops, I'll have it, and everything in between. So follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And as I always say, the one thing as a listener of the show you can do is find your Boston College friends and family and recommend Locked On BC. Send them, hit the share button and share this with them. The more, the merrier. I want every BC fan to become an everydayer here on Locked On BC, and you can help me do that. Well, I will see you again on Monday, and thank you all for listening to Locked On Boston College, your team every day.